So next, we have a very long-time partner and a friend of MIT. Tom Berry is the Senior Manager of Technology Education at AWS Social Responsibility and Impact. He leads AWS Education Equity Initiative, a global cloud initiative that democratizes access to cloud technology and AI for organizations and researchers seeking to build and scale learning solutions for underserved students. Everyone, please welcome Tom. Thank you.
Hi, everybody. I'm Tom Berry. I do lead our education work on AWS Social Responsibility, and I come to this work having spent 5 years working alongside educators on Amazon Future Engineer, a computer science equity initiative. And really today, similar to some of the amazing remarks we just heard from a legendary AI and a machine learning expert, is thinking about how do we use the cloud and specifically AI to lower the barriers for people who are doing what many in this room aspire to do, build better education technology that reaches more audiences, more learners equitably. So I'm gonna start this with a little story. Jammu and Kashmir. Has anyone here been to the Kashmir Valley in India? Okay, well then you probably know that it has a rich history and physical beauty. It's known as a crossroads of civilization. The ancient Silk Road passed through its dazzling lakes and mountains. And today, millions of visitors visit it for that beauty. It's also well known as the producer of some of the best saffron in the world, and it's famous for the wool that creates the cashmere that maybe you've worn or you have on a throw rug. And it's also home to some of the greatest educational disparities in the world and in India. A young person growing up in Jammu and Kashmir has precious few opportunities to engage in any sort of digital skill creation and critical thinking. Only 37% of the government schools where an underserved young person learns actually has a computer. Of those, only 10% are estimated to work at any given time. And where I sit in AWS, I know that technology can be one of the greatest forces in human society to solve seemingly intractable and big problems. But we also know and believe that the solutions don't always arrive from the top and down. Like, it's not always about industry or governments changing. They need to change, but it comes more to that. And we believe that it's about empowering the everyday individual to take their vision and build the technology that their community needs. And that's really a motivating principle, even behind the cloud. I think Google and Microsoft have a similar thing, is we empower builders to build, but especially in the educational technology standpoint. And so that's why I want to tell a story about Shoaib Dar. He grew up in the Kashmir Valley. He actually was fortunate to study at one of the premier Indian technical colleges, and he chose early on to give back. He joined the Teach for India program, and he became a teacher at a government school in India that faced the disparities we saw on the last slide. And since 2018, he actually thought, I'm gonna create a solution. I'm gonna create the PyJam Foundation that uses technology to help students create applications and games and experiences that are meaningful to them so they can learn the critical thinking and problem-solving skills they need. You can see building on the Kashmiri kind of wool tradition, students learning social emotional learning. And his approach, though, was rooted in his community first and foremost, which is students using low-cost Android phones with limited data plans. So he could design an open source initiative called CodeMitra that takes the best of the global learning platforms with the local Jammu and Kashmir government-mandated IT system where all the teachers have to gain their approved curriculum, all the teachers have to access their professional learning development, and put it in a package that could operate in low data to help kids do what they could never do before. Even nomadic children whose classroom is an open field could actually build with technology solutions that mattered to them. And so when I'm talking about this, it's really an example, a story that shows how 3 models can collaborate to create the change that people in this room have talked about in the time, and that you really want to see, that local change to students that are hard to reach. And it started really about 5 years ago when Scratch, known to many in this organization, a global creative computing platform, wanted to grow. And they said, we can't keep up with it on our on-premise servers. We want to bring it to the cloud. AWS brought their technology to the cloud for free, And in that intervening time, Scratch has grown to reach 124 million global youth with creative coding. Just this year, they're on pace to reach 24 million additional youth and store 1 billion projects. And as impressive as that is, and it showcases the scalability of the cloud, and this is doable through anybody's cloud, not just AWS, to actually gain the impact and impact those children in Kashmir Valley, it actually took something more. Local solutions, an educator who had a technology vision, and Shoaib Dar actually applied for additional AWS credits to build a development pipeline for his open source solution, to be able to host it in partnership with the government websites and to put it in the hands of those educators and the students. And so what we got when Shoaib Dar brought his solution to the table is a Kashmiri solution for Kashmiri youth. And he's not stopping there. Actually, the Indian state of Maharashtra, home to 112 million people, is partnering with CodeMitra to educate 500,000 youth in their settings with similar context. And really, when we think about what's next, we're really inspired by some of the taxonomy that Eric, I believe, mentioned on day one, where helping kids understand AI. Approaches like CodeMitra are already doing that, using Kashmiri examples to understand biases in machine learning. How do we help them create with AI? Well, not just with CodeMitra, but many others. If you live in the global south, you know that WhatsApp is the means of communication. Even if you don't have good internet, you could potentially send through SMS messaging or WhatsApp the prompt to interact with an AI and receive your output. That's one approach. Perhaps the Holy Grail approach, working with the open source model developers, many of which are hosted on AWS, because we're committed to as many models from our peer companies as well as open source. Could we create a model that could show realistic AI capabilities that could run on an Android phone? That is I know people at MIT who I've talked to today are thinking about those opportunities. Dr. Evan Patton from MIT App Inventor is one. And those are the types of things that we can only develop with people who are from places like the Kashmir Valley and have developed technology for the youth that we hope to reach. So we're here to uplift this ecosystem, similar to Dr. Brazil's statements at the beginning. And our investment lever, our support lever is the cloud credits for free. So if you are a technology builder, if you know technology builders specifically for equitable education use cases, and if you're a researcher who needs access, and this is access to the general suite of cloud tools if you need computation and storage, but also the AI tools. If you've heard words like AWS Bedrock, you can actually get Meta's latest model is available on our service. And if you need to use that for something, for an equitable use case, reach out to us via this link. Send us an email to edequity@amazon.com. That's ed-equity@amazon.com. We're in the beginning stages of building a broader global initiative, and we're coming to audiences like this to showcase the next 1,000 PyJam foundations and CodeMitra that we can learn from you to build a technology solution, or really a technology empowerment offering that lets you reach the students you want. So we're around for the rest of the day. I would like to highlight my colleagues, Kim and Deidre, seasoned educators and technologists, and we really want to get started creating the cloud and AI through AWS as a resource for this audience. Thank you for your time.